This video is on knowledge, part of my writing on knowledge and time. This is not from anyone else's; these are my own views, and therefore take all of this with a grain of salt. The crowd neither wants nor seeks knowledge, and the leaders of the crowd in their own interests try to strengthen its fear and dislike of everything new and unknown. This is a form of slavery in which humankind lives, and it is based upon this fear of what is known. Look and see how people live, what constitutes the aim of the existence of the general masses, what constitutes their objects of desire, passions, and aspirations, of what they think, of what they speak, what they serve, and who they worship. Consider the cultured humanity of our time, what commands the highest price, and where are the crowds? Imagine that for the whole of humanity, 1/2 pound of knowledge is allotted per year. If this knowledge be distributed among everyone, each will receive so little that they end up remaining the same fool they are and were. So, thanks to the fact that the very few want knowledge, those who get even a grain of knowledge acquire the possibility of becoming more intelligent. And there is not a concealment of knowledge, but the acquisition or transmission of true knowledge demands great labor and effort of both they who receive and they who give it. Now, those who possess knowledge transmit and communicate it to the greatest possible number of people. She or he or it wants knowledge, must make the initial efforts to find these sources of knowledge which most people do not want to see or recognize in regard to a comprehension of competency or competency of what it means to comprehend great knowledge, more than ordinary knowledge. He or she who knows that they know because they have learned and acquired their knowledge from those who know. There's a certain amount of knowledge that exists in any given time and space, and the increasement of that knowledge is fantastically excellent compared to a decrease back to tribal associations. But will we find humility in our altruistic nature, given that we have a compensity of our knowledge without comprehension? I will now go into another examination that nothing exists without a context. Here, this is from my studies on Derrida. Okay, nothing exists outside of a context. 1. Is there not such a thing as the topic or point of discourse bringing one's understanding to a focus? Question. To think that there is something that can be grasped in a discourse is to continue to be imprisoned by a metaphysics of presence. Derrida talks about this metaphysics of presence. There is not an actual subject matter or truth in a strict sense of certainty, but there are only perspectives and their deferral, the continual escape of meaning from the effort to pin it down, the escape of a text or utterance from efforts to attach it securely to a definitive sense. When we try to understand all that we encounter, it ruptures and deviances, the effort to understand what exposes misunderstandings. Does the Western world privilege language as the expression of reality? Question 2. Binaries, positive and negative, good and evil, simple and complex, are not real opposites, but themselves part of a hierarchy of subordinations. The continual deferral of meaning introduces a gap between what a producer of signs wishes to convey by their means and what the signs actually succeed in conveying. The differences between speech and writing, alternative and suppressed readings or interpretations may be found, i.e. in textual margins, footnotes, the space between one's intention and the result, in what is not said or what is in fact excluded by a given text or speech. There seems to me that an approach which embodies an intransigent ethos of writing and thinking without concession to ethos itself, and one which ceases to let public opinions, the media, and phantasm of an intimidating readership frighten or force its users into simplifying or repressing, is one in which one's ideas and thoughts can be appreciated, even if some ideas and thoughts are illogical or dangerous to our species and the other life forms on our planet. Perhaps one would do well to teach its inhabitants to write, for in doing so one increases their chance to entrench authority to it, to limit the implications of distortions, if there be any, of power, that one way of appropriating those discourses and lessons constituting speech and writing might cause, for the better or worse, education needs a strict taste of refinement and virtue. So that's Derrida, okay? And so I'm going to go straight from Derrida to some stuff on Quine. If I claim I guess you could say that sometimes philosophical insights rise at moments of intense immersion in thinking about a problem, but that the insights can be elusive when one is no longer in that frame of mind. This is on intention and extension. Presently, I recognize the jeopardy I incur by promoting the absurdity, but also that the jeopardy was illusory if the doubts of mine were right. Okay, so this is on Quine on natural science, okay, that it offers the best accounts we have of the nature of reality and how we find out about it. Thus, science provides us with our ontology and epistemology, a fallibilist in the sense that this kind of epistemology rejects the idea that there is a philosophical platform outside science from which the assumptions, methods, and theories of science can be examined for purposes of justifying or criticizing it. As to ontology, or to what exists is what is describable in physical terms. And this is Quine on what exists and what matters. So, for example, physics and chemistry work together to create biology and eventually psychology, combined with biology and ethology, evolutionary psychology. But a note guided by naturalism and extensionality. It might not be sufficient for understanding a theory that it be existential, but it is necessary. The paradigm of an extensional language is predicate logic, and it can be used in order to ascertain the ontology of any given theory by paraphrasing it into logical terms in a manner similar to the treatment of sentences containing descriptive phrases. What a theory is prepared to quantify over tells us only what the theory says exists. It does not tell us what in fact exists. If for other reasons we do not have valid and sound grounds for accepting the existence of the thing in question, then that is a reason for either rejecting or adjusting the theory. We use our best available scientific theories to decide what exists. That will be it for that. Then we'll probably get into other things like positivism, into analytic synthetic distinctions, differences between analytic and synthetic truths, and things of that nature.